Oh my God.
It's my cushion.
I always had in the back of my mind that we could come back together like J-Lo and Ben Affleck or like other people did.
Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We're here to discuss the latest episode of The Single Life. And as always, make sure to like. It'll really help me a lot. If you like this video, leave a comment whenever you see fit. And if you are a subscriber, thank you. And if you aren't, hello, join the party. Okay, let's jump in straight into Veronica. Catch up with Veronica and Jamal the day after their infamous fight. If you guys recall, they got into this blow-up fight over Tim and their lack of boundaries. It ended up with both of them being really tense, Veronica taking off her mic and Jamal looking up hotels for the night, okay? But we catch up with them the next morning and Veronica's feeling some remorse. She's feeling a bit embarrassed about the way that she handled it. She definitely let the emotions get the best of her. And so Jamal's supposed to leave today back home, and she doesn't want him to leave on a bad note. And we also find out that Jamal actually didn't end up going to a hotel, ended up staying over, and apparently they talked a little bit and apologized to each other that night. But you wouldn't be able to tell because it is so awkward this morning. So she's saying that, oh, this has been our worst trip, but I'm so, grateful for the way that you've handled it. And it's this weird thing that's happening. I'm seeing it in Love is Blind, but it's happening here where I don't know why we as women feel inclined to express gratitude for things that I feel like should be a given in a relationship. She's thanking him for being able to keep a level head while she was acting up. And I just feel like that's conflict resolution 101. Like, we both can't escalate the situation. One of us has to work on de-escalating. But I do get why she thanked him about handling the whole Tim situation, because that's a situation that none of their significant others should be bothered with. And it's just super uncomfortable. But overall, I feel like Jamal and Veronica are just talking around the issue and they still haven't come up with a plan on how to deal with the Tim of it all. So because they're not talking about it, this problem is going to come up again. And so as they're talking, Jamal is like, I'm gonna continue to work on my communication. And from the way that he's talking, it sounds like he has plans of moving down there with her eventually. And that's a shocker to me because I'm like, everything that he has said has led me to believe that he would hate to live down there. If anything, I feel like he was making the Tim situation like an excuse to, affirm his decision to not move. Let's see if he actually moves. But Veronica is happy to hear this. She's like, oh, I thought that I would have scared you off by now. And he's like, no, if anything, this has made us closer. Y'all, I don't know what to say about these two, honestly. What do you guys think about them? Do you believe that this is a real sustainable relationship? Or are you on the fence? Or are you just like, this is a joke? Please let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, but now let's move on to the next. It's a really short segment with Debbie. We're seeing Debbie and Ruben, and as you know, Ian gave Ruben the lowdown on his mother because apparently Debbie didn't tell Ruben anything. And I just love that Ruben is direct. He's not here to waste his time. He wants something real. He's a seasoned man. And so he addresses it head on with Debbie. He's like, so Julian told me some things, and I would like to unpack it with you. And as he's talking about the OSSAMA of it all and the age gap, Debbie's like, oh no. She must be like, I'm going to get Julian's ass. Because honestly, this was Debbie's responsibility to share, but she has no idea just how much he spilled. And Ruben is telling her, he's like, yeah, your son said that this relationship caused so much turmoil within your family and that you make impulsive moves. And she confesses that she didn't share it because she was embarrassed. But also, she's like, it wasn't an impulsive decision. Like we were dating for years, and that's when I moved, and I thought that we were gonna have this life. And I think that she thinks that makes it sound better, but it doesn't, right? Because OSSAMA in present day is 24. They were dating virtually for years. So let's say you were talking to him for 2 years, for 4 years. You were practically dating a 19-year-old. And you're like 60 something years old. How old is she? The point is, she's way older than that. That's beyond cougar. That's a bit problematic. And Ruben is trying not to judge because he's equally eclectic, but he's disturbed by that age gap. You can tell. But Ruben also brings up that he heard that Debbie is still supporting his family financially. And so he's like, I just want to make sure that there aren't any loose ends. And she's like, no, I just have a responsibility with them to make sure that they're okay. And I have questions about that. Like, what kind of arrangement did they have? It's not like OSSAMA and her were married. I'm just like, what responsibility do you think that you have? Aside from you being a generous person, which is commendable, but also, you don't owe them anything. And so that was it for them, really, this episode. It looks like Debbie's going to confront her son, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be a positive conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing how that conversation goes next week. I feel like it's going to make me cringe a bit, but on to the next single, John. John is sticking to his word, and we're seeing him pack up his car and get on the road. Actually happened when he arrived. Meg, she has this like, her default face is almost like unenthused, but I think in this moment she was just shocked that he actually was there because she saw his car was stuffed with all his things. So she was like, wow, like you did it. Like I got what I wanted. So it was cute, but I can see why people online are saying that she's giving bad vibes. I don't think she's giving bad vibes. I just think that that's her default face. Also, I want to say that John is a smart man. He came with cheesecake for Megan and then a doll for River, her daughter. I just thought that was such a good move to start to make River feel comfortable with this new change. I'm not a mother, so I am not, probably the best person to speak on this. I do think that 6 months is too soon to bring a strange man to live with you and your daughter. I think John is great. I don't think that he would cause any harm. I still think, even with that, that's too soon. So John has traveled all this way and he's really excited, to be with Megan. But it's time for bedtime and she co-sleeps with her daughter, and so her daughter's going to sleep with her in her room, and John will be sleeping in River's room by himself. It sounds like they had a conversation about it, and so he was mentally prepared. It's not like it's a shock. Also, because they've only been dating for 6 months, it's not like she's had time to start this transition for her daughter, and she's a child. Children, need to get used to things. And also there's the added element that she's autistic. And so they just, have to do things gradually to make her feel comfortable. And, just there's already so many changes happening in her life. Her sleep arrangement needs to be handled with gentle care. And I thought it was sweet that Megan got John like a little care basket on top of the bed. And, like, I'm sure it's uncomfortable. I'm sure that he would have wanted to sleep with her. But this is his new life, his new normal. And, I don't think it'll always be that way. But I can tell that it's going to be hard because it has just been River and Megan. Megan has been single for some time. See, I anticipated that they would have growing pains, but it's nothing that they can't overcome with good communication, I think. So we see them the next morning, and him and Megan are talking out in the, yard, and he's like not throwing jabs, but throwing subliminals that like, he kind of expected some sort of intimacy between them. Sure, it couldn't have been in the bedroom, but maybe like in the laundry room. And I was like, John,
I know. Nate. I'm sorry. You
It's
didn't
okay.
sleep too well.
Well, the sex, you don't have to be. Could be in the laundry room. Whatever we gotta do.
You're funny.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, having a good sex life is important, so.
I am really happy that he's here. I'm super excited for that.
Y'all are not, in a hotel having a 3-day getaway. Like, this is in your home together where there's a child and you can't, get it in whenever you want like that. While sure, he didn't have the most comfortable sleep, it sounds like he wasn't too, bummed about the sleeping arrangement, more so the lack of intimacy. And Megan is like, yeah, we're certainly not gonna have, boom boom in the laundry room while my daughter's having lunch. It's just not happening, okay? I totally get that it's a little sucky, you're building up this road trip, you're about to see your loved one, and then there's this anticlimactic ending where it's like, oh, well, I'm actually gonna sleep by myself tonight. I get it. And so they're out here talking, and Megan is wasting no time in expressing exactly what she wants. And I'm usually with her, but she lost me here, okay? So she's like, I don't want you to think that I'm not grateful, but in 3 months, we're going to hit the year mark, and I would like some sort of physical commitment. And I'm like, girl, there is no way that you are talking about marriage when you still have to settle in your sleeping arrangement. You still have to get used to living together. You have to figure out if you even like each other like that. So to think about getting married at this point seems a bit aggressive, seems a bit off. I really do think that she's rushing it. I'm with John on this one, and she keeps saying it like, I just want to know where your head is at. And my thing is, he has shown you where his head is at. He says he wants to be with you. He moved here with you. You guys are going to, figure out how you live together. Like, he's showing you where his head is at. So I think to want marriage this early is a lot. And he's saying that is the end goal. But not in the year mark. And so her chip on her shoulder is like, well, you've gotten engaged fast before. He's like, yeah, that's how I know it's a bad idea. I want to do it right this time. And I think that's so commendable on his part. And I really do hope that he doesn't let her bulldoze her way into a proposal, because one, I don't think that's sustainable. Two, I feel like he could grow resentful of her. Like if it doesn't come out of his heart, to do that. So Megan needs to slow down. I also want to make an observation about Megan, okay? I'm noticing that when she is not getting her way in a conversation, she shuts down in a way that almost feels like she's withholding affection. And I've noticed it a few times, but I've given her the benefit of the doubt because I'm like, I get it. Like, John is not acting right. But in this moment, I feel like they're just having a conversation and he's hugging her because he's happy to be there. And she's like accepting his hug like that. Like, well, you don't know if you want to marry me, so. And I don't want to judge her off of it because I don't really know where her head is at. But I don't like that. I don't like that she just shuts down like that. And I'm just making the observation because for someone that is making such serious requests, I would expect her to have a bit of a mature reaction to things. And I just feel like that feels a bit juvenile to me. I would love to know what you think. But let's go back to Greece with CHANTEL. So we see CHANTEL and her friends the day after the snail gate. As you guys remember, Giannis, her Greece bae, invited her to this, festival, which is a celebration of snails. And she was acting just snobby. One, because she didn't like the snail and she was acting like a picky toddler. But also she was feeling away because he wasn't, being overly affectionate with her. And she was just spiraling about him not liking her. You guys remember that? Okay. So we see her starting to spiral some more, and it's a projection of her insecurities. She's like, oh, does he not like me because I'm a divorcee? Is it something that I did? And her friends are talking her through it, and they're like, maybe you're just expecting too much. Maybe you're just, not living in the moment and not taking things for what they are. And you're just thinking about all these things that you want. And in one part, I think they're right, but I also think that she's reading too much into it and that this was supposed to be a vacation hookup and that's it. And she is stretching it. And so he did reach out to her. He wants to see her before she leaves. And she's just debating because she's like, I obviously feel so much already. And, she just got divorced a year ago. Like it was just finalized recently, after a year of being separated. And I think it's too soon, but I also think it's too soon to plan a life with someone that you're not even with. It's just, I can't believe that we're even discussing it. And so that's really it for Chantel this episode, but we are going to see her with Giannis next episode. And of course, their chemistry is hot, but I think that's all it is. But we'll see her have that talk with him in the next episode. But the last single, and it's the juicy one this episode, is Natalie. Y'all. So it's a month post the Josh breakup, and Natalie is feeling down and out, okay? She's feeling hopeless, she's single, she's jobless, and it's just her and her mom in LA. And she's like looking like an owl because she keeps crying off her mascara. And so she's talking to her mom, and she's like, I'm 38, I don't feel like dating, I don't feel like starting over again. And her mom is like, interesting that you say that. So the other day I was chatting with my best friend Mike, and I told him, what if you just came? What if we just met up for lunch? And so yeah, moral of the story, Mike is coming to visit us. Me, you, us. And Natalie is stunned. She's like, what? So while Natalie is shocked, she's like, maybe seeing Mike will give me the answers that I'm looking for. And Mama is determined to get them back together, okay? And Natalie's like, Mike doesn't want me. And Mama's like, but what if he does? What if he loves you? What if you make up? I mean, I could get my grandchildren that way. And it's clear that Mama came to America with one mission, okay? And she is ruthless. And so we do see them go to the farmer's market where they're set to meet Mike, and Natalie is so nervous. She's like, I've been separated from Mike for a few years. We haven't seen each other face to face in a minute. Initially, we saw Natalie be cautiously optimistic, but you can tell that her mom has really got into her head because they're at this farmer's market just equally delusional. They think that her and Mike are going to pick up right where they left off. And so it's strange because I'm like, does Natalie want this or does she want to please her mom? It's unclear. So Natalie reflects and she's like, Mike did want the same things as me. We did want a family. We had a clear vision on that. And I need Natalie to get real. Yes, they did both want a family. But everything else that Natalie says she wants is the opposite of Mike. She didn't want to live in his home. She didn't want to have a small town life. She hated his mother. She was awful to Mike. All the desires that Natalie has expressed contradict each other. So she's really going to have to get back on the drawing board and prioritize because I just don't see how she's going to reach her happy ending in the way that she's going. And so we see Mike, and he's this big old bear, super handsome, and he gives Mama a hug first. It's super warm. It's so cute. And then Natalie, I thought that she was going to go straight into a hug, but she just pulls out flowers from the farmer's market. And he's like, flowers for me? And she's like, and then she throws herself on him, and they have this long hug, and you can see Mike checking out of it.
You got me flowers? Well, thank you.
How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good to see you.
so Mike is hugging her like if he doesn't, he'll get fined. It's clear that he does not want to disappoint her mother. But he's not feeling the theatrics that Natalie keeps doing. And she kind of did that when they FaceTimed him. She's like, hi, you answered. She's giving that energy. Natalie hurt this man really badly. She was terrible to him when they were together in America. The last few months of their relationship, she mostly went to her friend's house. She then abandoned him while still using his money, and then continued to date and still use his resources. I can't even imagine what the healing process must have been like for him to piece back his life after being in love with someone that blatantly rejected him that way. I can't even believe that he's there standing in front of them right now. And so Natalie is in her confession talking about, I thought we'd be like J-Lo and Ben Affleck. And I'm like, girl, the desperation that's coming out of your pores. Okay, Michael is a good man, yes. Do I believe she loves him? Yes. But she is not in love with that man. She just wants him because he's convenient. She thinks that he's a sure thing and her biological clock is ticking. And so she's like, you know what? This is the safe choice. That's what it looks like for me. But we see them all talking, and I'm reminded again that Michael is the reason why Natalie's mom is in America. He helped her get here, and that just speaks volumes of how big his heart is, that even through all the things that Natalie did to him, he separates her mom from her. And he's like, I'm going to make sure you're okay. I'm going to make sure y'all are together. And I was just like, she's confusing his generosity with romantic love for her. And I don't think that that's what's happening. And so she mentions again that, like, she's there without anybody, just her and her mom. And he's like, yeah, you're here without anybody, and I thought you were comfortable in Florida. Why would you come to LA when you have no one here? Is it because Josh? And she's like, no, I'm no longer with Josh. And he's like, okay. And it's awkward. And Mama is, trying to rush this along. So she's like, well, this is the best time to make up. So go talk and make up. So we see them go off, and I guess in the next episode, we'll get their huge conversation. And here's the thing, spoiler alert on Mike and Natalie. The day that this season premiered, it was released that Mike finally filed for divorce. So it had been years since they had been separated, and he's been saying that he was going to file, and he finally did it. And so, of course, I don't think this conversation is going to be romantic in any way, but I'm really excited to hear him speak his mind, hopefully, and to tell her, like, it's officially over. Because there's been rumors and stuff of him dating people throughout. So I think he's definitely over it. I just think that filing for divorce officially makes it extra real. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear the details of how everything went. And yeah, you guys, that was the recap for this week on The Single Life. I'm really looking forward to next week. It looks like there's going to be a lot of drama. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss that recap. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think about Michael even showing up? Do you guys think that her mom, Natalie's mom, is overstepping? Or do you understand her motives? Let me know everything in the comments. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.